الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Been asked to discuss the admissibility of reading short Surah Taraweeh and whether it's classed as cheating. Cheating है ਜਿਹੜੀ 8 पढ़ने ना रकातां, those who read 8 rakats or cheating करने. 20 rakat Taraweeh with short surahs is not cheating. I'll explain this to you step by step. One thing is now people fasting Ramadan. Some people don't read Isha namaz. Right? They might fast, but they don't read Isha. Some will read Isha, but they won't read Taraweeh. Some will read Isha and Taraweeh, but they'll read Taraweeh at home. Right? Some will then read Isha and Taraweeh, but they won't read Taraweeh at home. They'll read Taraweeh in congregation, but they're reading short surahs. Others are reading in the masjid and they're listening to the full Quran. So what's the more superior thing to do, and what's right and what's wrong? Not reading namaz at all is not allowed, as in not reading Isha. Missing Taraweeh is not allowed either. So bare minimum is what? You got to read Isha and you got to read 20 rakat Taraweeh. Even if you read it at home, you've ticked the box. I'm talking about men here. Women read at home anyway. If you go to the masjid, that's fine as well. But for men, so you have to read Isha, you have to read Taraweeh, 20 rakats. If you read Taraweeh at home, there's no guna, there's no sin whatsoever. But what have you done? You've left something more superior. The better thing to do than read Taraweeh at home would be for the man to go to the masjid and read Taraweeh at the masjid. So what we're doing is better than what we are doing is to go to the masjid and read Taraweeh. Right? It's better to go to the masjid than to come here. And it's better to listen to the full Quran being read than short surahs. But Imam Muhammad Ali mentioned this in Ascent of Felicity. He says that وَإِذَا ثَقُلَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ طُولَ الْقِرَاءَةِ يُخَفِّفُهَا فَيَقْرَأُ فِيهَا بِنَحْوِ الْكَوْثَرِ وَقُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ إِلَى تَمَامِهَا. He said, if recitation of the Quran, the long recitation of the Quran, is difficult and heavy and burdensome upon the people. So he says, if it's heavy upon the people, long recitation, then the Imam should make it lighter for them. He should lighten the burden for them, and he should read the likes of Surah Al-Kawthar and Surah Ikhlas and the like. What we're doing basically, saying that you read Surah Ikhlas, you read Surah Al-Kawthar, you read the short surahs. Who should do is the Imam. Why? Because having more people in the congregation with surahs is better than having a smaller congregation with the recitation of the Quran. Right? It's more better to bring more people through the door. So, but then there has to be a balance. It's important that we continue establishing the sunnah of Taraweeh in the masjid. It's important that we continue establishing the sunnah of a full Quran khatam being done in Ramadan. But we're in a situation where we have to have something that suits different needs. We have to. We can't just be like, no, we're in the masjid and full Quran and it's my way or the highway. No, you have to look at the Sharia and think what are the options for people and create the options for them. Because if you don't, then they just won't read anyway. They'll just read the Isha namaz and go to sleep. So you're giving them something that at least is still reading Taraweeh, right? So for me, personally, it would be better for me to just go to the masjid and read, like I do every year. I listen to the full Quran, and I can do that without missing any Taraweeh, alhamdulillah, and I'm all right. But what I'm doing now is I'm sacrificing reading namaz at the masjid, listening to the full Quran, and I enjoy listening to the full Quran because alhamdulillah, I understand what's being read. So for me, there's no burden. I'm not falling asleep in Taraweeh. So for me, I'm sacrificing going to the masjid to read Taraweeh, to come here to lead, so that we could all get together and we can have short surahs, have a short Taraweeh, and it's not burdensome upon people. Because otherwise, I know people are not going to read. They're going to miss it. They'll miss one, then they miss two, miss three, and think, oh yeah. And then the year goes by, the next year comes around, think, oh, I'll do better than I did last year. Right? So this is why we have the short Taraweeh. So then it's perfectly fine and permissible. And this is what's mentioned here, saying that if the lengthy recitation is too burdensome for the congregation, the Imam should reduce the burden and by reciting short surahs like Surah Al-Kawthar, Surah Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, over their entirety, meaning the entirety of the rakats and over the entirety of all the taraweehs till the end of the month. A few extra things in here I want to mention to you. What they're saying is that the basis of this ruling, why should he do short surahs instead of the full Quran, is what I've already mentioned. That a larger congregation is greater reward and greater in merit than a lengthier recitation. It's not about just slugging it out, is it? It's not about just it's about enjoying it and relaxing and it being pleasurable and enjoyable and not a killer, right? Then what's mentioned is that it says similarly, if these are the notes now, explanatory notes regarding this, that if the prayers are too burdensome for people, the Imam may also suffice with saying Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin. You know, in Durood Sharif, we also have an option to reduce the Durood Sharif down to Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin and stop there and give salam both ways. That's an option as well. Then it says, however, the Imam should not recite extremely fast. For most of the Hufaz who lead Taraweeh, they don't know none of this. Or if they do know it, they ignore it. I guarantee you most don't know this. They don't sit down and study what are we allowed to do, what shortcuts are allowed, what shortcuts are not allowed. So it says you're not allowed to recite extremely fast. Look, at the end of the day, you stood before Allah. You don't talk to a person that fast. He's talking to Allah in this way. So you're not allowed to recite extremely fast, nor should the person omit the sunnahs of the opening supplication. And a lot of them miss this. Guaranteed they miss it. And when I ask them, oh no, kya parne ho? Like they say Allahu Akbar, they'll miss out the thana, subhanakallah. But you have to read that. This is sunnah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarakasmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. The Imam has to read, and he has to give the congregation a chance to read it as well. Then the congregation go quiet and the Imam says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. You will have been to so many masjid over the years, they don't give you time to read your subhanakallah, and you're like, okay, and then straight away he's on with the Fatiha. Why do they do this? Because a lot of them, their sabak is kacha. You know, the hifz is weak. And they're worried about forgetting it the longer the night goes on. So they quickly rush through it because they're trying to hold into their mind where they finished last rakat. And now they're holding that in their mind. They're rushing through the sana, rushing through the awuzu, rushing through Fatiha, and then back on with the sabak they were reading. This is the problem. So then what happens in ultimately spoils the beauty of the prayer. And then what's mentioned is that he shouldn't miss out the sana, shouldn't miss out awuzu, shouldn't miss out bismillah. He shouldn't miss out the tasbih of bowing and prostrating. So you shouldn't just go into ruku and jump straight back out of ruku. No, you do the 3 tasbihs at least in ruku, the 3 tasbihs in sujood, and then and you should also not miss out the resting between each of the 4 rakats. You know, we did the tasbih taraweeh. That shouldn't be missed out either. And in reality, you know, let's say each rakat 2 rakats take us 5 minutes. If 2 rakat take us 5 minutes, we should be sitting in between every 4 rakats for 5 minutes as well. We should be like, however long, actually not 2 rakats, if 4 rakat takes us say 5 or 6 minutes, we should be resting for that duration in between. Then read another 4 rakats, then rest for the same duration in between. So if reading takes us half an hour, 40 minutes, that much time should be spent resting in between the rakats and doing zikr and reading tasbih. And that's how it's supposed to be. That's the proper way. Okay. But obviously, we worry about keeping our wuzu, don't we? So we're going to be like, you know, holding on tight to the wuzus. Let's get all 20 rakats done and we'll read tasbih later. So what's mentioned is you shouldn't miss out the resting between the 4 rakats, nor should you miss out the wajib elements of the prayer, which means staying still in each position for at least a moment. Right? So rather than reading full Quran, but then spoiling the ruku and the sujood and missing out sana and missing out Durood Sharif and doing all the actions really, really quickly, just reduce the recitation down, but don't spoil the rest of the prayer with the actions. Okay. So what we do when I'm leading is I don't miss sana. I read sana to wala ilaha ghayruk. I read a'uzu, I read bismillah. Guaranteed most of you will have a chance to read. If you do takbir straight after mine, you will have a chance to comfortably read your sana. Fatiha, I don't read fast. The surahs we're reading, we're not reading them fast. Ruku we're doing properly. There's at least 3 tasbihs you can comfortably read in ruku and sujood. When it comes to Durood Sharif, I read full at-tahiyatu abduhu wa rasuluhu, Durood Sharif, all the way to the end. And then, as I mentioned previously, I add on 1 dua to the end, right? So, innaka hamidun majid, and then I read, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. And then I give salam both ways. We stop between every 4 rakats as well. The way we do it takes 50 minutes, but that's as reduced as it's going to get. If anybody wants it that quicker than that, just go home. Yeah? Simple as. You can't get any quicker than that. Where else am I supposed to take shortcuts and rush? It's worship of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that the person who fasts during the day and worships at night, Allah will forgive his sins. Allah has given us forgiveness. What are we giving him? Half a prayer. Yeah, like 32% of a prayer. What good is that? And the way we're reading, we don't even know if it's going to be accepted. And this might be our last Ramadan. It was last year for the earthquake victims, wasn't it? People who died in the earthquake, 50,000. They were hoping for another Ramadan to come. It was in Rajab, wasn't it, the earthquake? Rajab, they were making dua for, saying, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajabin wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, bless us in Rajab and Sha'ban and allow us to reach Ramadan. They didn't reach Ramadan. This might be our last one. So how much are you going to rush it? And then do what? So this is, there's no such thing as it being cheating or anything like that. This is the proper way. And in an ideal world, we'd all be going to the masjid, you'd be listening to the full Quran, but people have other commitments, work, etc. Children, young people cannot stand for that long. So then there has to be some wisdom used. You think, okay, what can we do within the rules to accommodate different people's needs and things? Just going to the actual reminder from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, help one another in righteousness and piety. Righteousness means good things. Piety, neki. Ta'awun. Ta'awun is the word we use in Urdu as well. Help, support, cooperate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Support, help each other, assist each other, cooperate with each other, work together, work collectively in good things and in piety. Help each other out, work together as a team. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. And don't help and support each other in sin and transgression. What people do, if someone has this idea to make some money quick or some kind of fraud or some kind of dodgy deal, they'll contact a few people and say, I'm in. And people will help and people will support. And they look, I'll do this part, you do that part, you do that part, and we'll make millions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't support other people in wrongdoing. In fact, you should support them in the way which is to help them, to guide them, to correct them, to stop them from doing what they're doing. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى, that support each other in good works. Now you'll find a lot of people in our communities, they won't help you when you're doing good. They'll help you when you're doing bad. And there's other chavals, what do? You're trying to do good and they try to stop you and spoil it. Yeah, like we're doing taraweeh now, we're doing something good. There'll be some chaval out there who's trying to spoil it. Oh, why are they doing this? Why are they getting together? Why are they doing this? So at least if you're not going to support us in doing good, then at least don't create obstacles and problems in our way. But this is what people do, jealousy and various other things. Allah saying, help one another in good works. And if you can't help us, then at least you stay out of the way. That will be help. Stay out of the way, mind your own business. That is help in itself. But what do people do? They don't want to help and they want to cause problems for other people at the same time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran that support and help one another, assist one another. Ask where you can get involved and help out and cooperate. Put your bit of share in as well for your akhirah. May Allah Almighty allow us to understand this. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa mawlana Muhammad.